Welcome and namaste, everyone. I'm pleased to have you back here with me for our session today for story number 8 from a book of short stories called Thanks for the Yellow Roses. I'm glad you're here with me for this story. I've come to think of 13 as a sacred number, primarily because this story begins on the evening of Friday the 13th of January, 1995. I, among 38 other men and women from all walks of life, am in the midst of a month-long program to become a spiritual director held at the Pecos Benedictine Monastery in Pecos, New Mexico, about 25 minutes north of Santa Fe, New Mexico. It is about 9:45 in the evening at the end of a long and fruitful day. Just moments before, I had decided to stay on in the lounge a bit longer, chatting with several classmates while peeling an orange. In walks my friend Rachel, carrying a folded piece of paper, obviously on a mission. She comes directly to me, hands me the note in outstretched hand, and says, "Here, I've been told to give this to you." "Who's it from?" I inquire. "I've just been told to give it to you." "Does it need an answer?" I ask. "Nope." And she disappears, just as unexpectedly as she had appeared. I open the note and am deeply moved by its contents, but can't immediately figure out why Rachel has given it to me. So I refold it, finish chatting with friends, and head off to bed. Just before retiring for night, I reread the note, searching for the connection. Here's what the note said. 1/13/95 for Jeffrey Martin Magoon, born July 8, 1959. Died in a fire July 26, 1965. Small angel son, I sense your presence within me as I sat before the blessed sacrament tonight. I heard the soft rustle of wings and felt the gentle touch of a kiss upon my cheek. Tonight I heard your voice say, "Mama, it's me, Jeff." Abba wanted to send an angel to you to fill your heart with peace and reassure you of his love, and I asked if I could come along. Silent tears have streaked my cheeks and quiet gratitude has filled my heart. How I have missed you, my precious one. The raw, gaping wound so brutally opened by your parting has long since closed. Only the huge scar remains. The gift of healing and the grace of acceptance have been given. But missing doesn't go away, nor does the special love my heart holds for you, and you alone, my firstborn child. What a thoughtful and loving gift that you have been sent to bring me deeper knowledge of our Father's love. I will try not to hold or capture you. I sense that if I were not able to let you go, then one other than you would have been sent to do the Father's will. I am so grateful for this loving gift, and I praise and thank you, Abba, Father, Brother Jesus, and dear comforting friend, Spirit, for granting your request. Stay close, little one, for as long as you are permitted, and though my love for you cannot compare to the love you now enjoy, please know, dear son, that my heart sings a gentle lullaby of love to you each time I sense your presence, and a glorious hymn of praise to the one who loved us both into being, the one who now sustains me through each moment of my life. End of note. I am touched even deeper by this reading, feeling the pain of my friend Rachel beyond belief, but I still can't make the connection until in a flash I remember that my mother too had lost her firstborn, also named James, of pneumonia, but a few days after he was born. I think and pray about the connection and go to sleep thinking that mystery has been solved. How little did I know. It's now the next morning and our classes focus on healing our inner child, using several nonverbal methods such as drawing, creating mandalas, writing poetry, and the like. As Sister Geraldine makes her presentation, I quite effortlessly doodle and write brief phrases on and brief phrases of verse on my paper. All the while I can feel something deep inside me moving, but can't quite figure out what's going on here. I feel like something or someone else has control of my inner being. At the close of the hour, Sister tells us to take the next hour to create something we feel needs doing and return to share it with a small group as a way of honoring it. Seizing the moment, I exit directly to the chapel, feeling the need for a private, sacred place in which to create my project, so to speak. Just as my backside hits the chair, I spontaneously break open like an egg, emitting uncontrollable sobs and agonizing wailing. Mom, oh Mom, I am so sorry for your pain. I am so sorry for your pain. Over and over again, over and over. I could not have imagined such pain and sorrow. Just then, several unexpected guests come into the chapel, so I remove myself to a small counseling room off the entry to the chapel. Again, as I hit the chair, I break open, repeating the crying out in pain, only this time even deeper and longer in duration. Although I know I am somehow feeling my mother's pain, I still don't know what is happening or why, until the verses that come through me begin to shape the story, and the drawing that follows reinforces the power of healing in me. The verse tells its own story, and here it is. How could I? Mom, oh Mom, how could I have ever known the depth of your pain, the breadth of your loss from the death of your firstborn son, James? How could I have ever known? How could I? You never told me in any way I could then recognize the burden of such pain. But now, with eyes anew, with vision of heart, I not only know your pain, I am at one with you in your pain. Through the pain of the mothers of lost children, God sent an angel and a child, Jeff, age 6, to tell his mother of God's grace upon Jeff's soul, and hers with a message too, for me. I can hear James, but a few days old, calling to Jeff as he leaves, "It's for Jim too, it's for Jim too, don't forget." I didn't know, Mom. How could I have ever known? How could I? All the time I felt deep within you wanted me perfect, when instead you wanted me to just be alive and safe from harm's way, free from your fear of loss and the pain loss renders. How could I have ever known, Mom? How could I? But now my inner Jimmy and I both know, and in this single loving stroke of reaching from beyond, we all are one at last, united in our pain, our love, and the understanding that renders forgiveness unnecessary. I love you, Mom. I love you, James. I love you, Jimmy. I love you, Jim. Praise be to God for the joy I now am. How could I have ever known? How could I? That's the end of the verse. My hands move quickly to create a drawing as though I have nothing to do with it except to hold the crayon. The imaginary hand only too dramatically depicts the intermingling of my mother's grief for the loss of James with my own development and with that of my inner child. My mother is holding Jimmy and James in her arms, their figures intertwined. I am holding all of them in my loving caress. God holds us all in God's powerfully healing embrace. All are contained in what I first felt was the red, egg-shaped seat of my emotions. After soulfully sharing the dramatization with a few of my loving, compassionate classmates, I go off to the men's room. As I open the door, I thank God for the beautiful image that had passed through me. As I do, immediately comes into view the large red ellipse flushing like a neon sign, and I hear the word womb, pierce my mind. In an instant, I realized that I had picked up my mother's pain and grief while in her womb, and at the same instant, I knew that any remnants of ill feeling toward my mother had completely disappeared. Talk about miracle. and it was not yet over. While sharing the story with my support group, one woman says that her mother had a miscarriage, and she always wondered what effect it might have had on her. When I hand a copy of the verse to another, she weeps instantly in the recognition that she hadn't completed her grieving process over the loss of one of her children. Still another is affected similarly when Rachel shares the story with her group, and there is no way of knowing how many were touched but didn't or weren't able to say anything at all. When Stella, one of our group, sees the date I had put on the verse, January 14th, 1995, she says, "I don't normally pay any attention to dates on things, but do you know what January 14th is?" I allow that I didn't, except that it was obviously the day after Friday the 13th. She responds with, "Well, that's the date of the New Year in the Hellenic Orthodox Church." "What did you say?" I blurt out, astonished by her declaration. "It's the date of the New Year in the Hellenic Orthodox Church," Stella repeats. "I was baptized in the Hellenic Orthodox Church, Stella." "Well then, Happy New Year, Jim," she says. I share the entire story with Rachel later in the morning, and she proclaims, "You don't know the half of it. I had an argument with God about giving you the note. God said to give you a copy of what I had written in my journal to you, and I said that I would feel foolish doing it. You wouldn't have any idea what it was about. God told me once again to do it. I argued once again, saying that you would think I was crazy. God again insisted. I worked out a deal with him, saying that I would agree to take it down to the coffee lounge, and if you were there, I would give it to you. But if you weren't there, then that would be a clear sign the message wasn't for you." I respond with my mouth gaping wide open in astonishment. "Rachel, I was going to leave, but something inside me told me I was supposed to stay a while longer, so I decided to peel an orange." "I know," she says, with a wide smile on her lips and a knowing in her eye. The story of what some would call the miracle of healing goes on and on and on as my spiritual director worked with me on its meaning in Scripture over the next few weeks. It continues to this day as other circumstances free yet more for healing, but you get the point. Given our brokenness to the universe results in an outpouring of love through many others in acts of immense proportions as they spread to all who are willing to accept the gift. So what formerly seemed to be miracles come to be everyday events once we are open to them. As it has been attributed to mystical Jesus, and even greater works than these shall you do. Greater in this case perhaps meaning only more, for the acts are the same, acts of freedom released by love, showing themselves as grace of the moment, the real miracle. Or perhaps greater simply because more people seem to be giving themselves to this labor of love, and over a longer time than Jesus was given in his human form. Loving is an exponential dimension, not just a geometric one. The more we give ourselves to love, the more love there is to give. And by our example, others are freed to also give, and give they do. Well, that's the end of that story. It's one that I had sort of forgotten, not really forgotten, but I hadn't thought of in a while. I'm so glad I read it to you. I can revisit that space now and see if there's any other layers there that I need to look at. Stories are that way. They give us opportunities to look at ourselves or at others to see if there's anything we need to repair or just let be. Actually, we're the stories that unfold, one after another, each in our own unique way. Well, you know that I get things, I find things on internet between our sessions, and I'd like to share these with you as a little nugget to take with you. Here's one. The Mad Hatter. Have I gone mad? Alice, I'm afraid so. You're entirely bonkers, but I'll tell you a secret. All the best people are. Just so you don't misconceive what you are. The Mad Hatter, have I gone mad? Alice, I'm afraid so. You're entirely bonkers, but I'll tell you a secret. All the best people are. And what that means is not afraid to be yourself, just to be the story you're writing day by day, moment by moment, element by element, story by story, paragraph by paragraph, sentence by sentence. Be your stories, folks. Until next week, then, I say to you, namaste. I love you.